And we are live. All right. So, Happy New Year. We got a new year upon us. And I just thought, nothing to do and everything closed. I have a live chat, invited some of our friends from up north. Starting off the New Year's with a terrorist attack. Awesome start, mister. That's true. And the thing is, there's a friend of mine. This fellow's retired. He likes to go on these cruises, and somehow he met this woman who's from down there in, I think, New Orleans or something. And the two of them, they're both retired. The two of them go on all these different cruises, all over. And he's been to Alaska twice. He Caribbean, Cuba, whatever the hell. So he was down there because he sent me a few pictures. He left uh, the day after Christmas or something, because some of us we watch his property in that form when he's gone, because he lives alone. He's divorced, whatever. So when he went down there, you know, he sent some pictures on Facebook that he's down there, going, seeing the sights, going everywhere. And that was just a few days ago. So I don't know if he's on a cruise ship going to one of the islands, or I don't know where the hell is he, where is he going? Costa Rica or something? I don't know. But he was down there in New Orleans. I should send him a text or something to check on him. Hey, everybody's getting in here. I invited a couple guys. I invited Rodney. I don't know what he's doing, but tires is the ISIS flag. Yeah, don't know. I just heard it because, like most of us, I don't go out on New Year's. So what me and the wife do is we wait for New Year's. We watch the ball drop on Times Square, and we have there he is. All right,
Greetings.
Rod. Glad you're making. And we just sit here, watch the ball drop, drink some champagne, and that's about it. And we had a terrible storm come through just before midnight, about 8 o'clock. And I mean, they were telling us there could be tornadoes, hailstorms, and it come right across North Carolina. So she
Oh yeah.
was kind of freaking out and really didn't hit us bad. We had some hail, we had some wind, some real loud thunder and lightning, some rain, and it all went away. So when that passed, she got up in the morning and she was going on a computer. We don't watch the TV news. So she was looking to see if there were power outages or if this storm damaged anything close by us. And the first thing that popped up was the New Orleans shooting or whatever you want to call it. Uh, I guess he ran people over in a crowd there. So I have no idea what the hell is going on. The black flag was on tied to the back of the truck. All right, so he was flying an ISIS flag when he did this. And of course, New Orleans is one of the biggest party destinations. My brother went down there once around New Year's because I guess they got a football game or something goes on. And there's a lot of people that do travel there as one of them things on your bucket list to go to New Orleans for New Year's Eve or celebrate. Other than what the hell is that other thing? Carnival or whatever, or whenever they do that thing for Lent when they have the big party and bands and that. That's another one. But
Yeah, we
New Year's is a destination spot for 'em down there.
yeah we lost all our snow we had here. We're down to bare ground again.
What's that? The snow or
Yeah, we had this yesterday it was like 8 or 9 degrees, and the day before it was like 12. Well, above zero, so Celsius. So I'm not sure what that translates to Fahrenheit, but uh,
yeah? See, because now they're telling us that after this passed, it's going to get cold on the weekend, but following the next week, there's some kind of Arctic thing coming down through the whole continent, and it's going to get into the negative numbers here, which we 16 degrees is cold down here. Okay.
mhm.
And if it gets any lower than that, I got to go run an extension cord halfway across my yard to the well and plug a heat tape in. Because if I don't, if it goes down to 10 degrees and the wind's blowing, you get up in
Yep.
the morning, you ain't got no water.
Hmm.
So I got to go warm that up because it is unusual. And in all the 20 years I've lived here, it's only happened like 3 times. And it snows like it hasn't snowed the past 2 years. We haven't gotten any snow. But we live in a climate area where we get something far worse than snow is them damn ice storms.
Yeah.
And when the ice storm comes, and I mean trees collapse across the road and that you can get killed that way, but it
Yep.
knocks the power out throughout the damn state for sometimes a week at a time.
We've had bad storms here like that too, ice storms.
You know.
What's this now? Muhammad? What? Muhammad bin Sadah. Ooh, there's a handle.
Sadada. It's like Idi Amin Dada. Who? Mohammed bin.
We'll just call him Apu.
Mhm.
We'll just call him Apu.
Yeah, but that was a way to start the year off. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of threw everybody off. And I'm not used to staying up that late till midnight to watch this. So we slept in late, got this, and then kind of started the New Year's off. There's someplace having a damn auction um, on January 1st online. It's live auction. You can go. There's up in Illinois or something. And I was going through there. There was one gun I really wanted to take a shot at, but I was watching these 22 caliber rifles. They
Hmm.
go from anywhere from 250 to 300 because I know several people now that have given up collecting mill surplus or buying anything. And
Oh yeah.
one's my neighbor, and another one's a guy that contacted me, and I used to talk to him. Actually, when he was visiting relatives close by, he stopped by the house. He's into mill surplus, but these guys now they buy 22 rifles and they collect them because if you look at all the sporting guns, Remington alone, I don't know, they might have made 30 different rifles and Winchester, over the years. There's all
Yep.
these different variations. Some of these guns were Marlins, some of them were Sears and Roebuck or whatever, which are
Hmm.
H&Rs, I forget, or Mossbergs. A lot of them
Yep.
are some, and there were Mossbergs.
Yep.
These things are going 200, 300, 350. I think there was a Remington. It wasn't a Viper. It was a plastic stock, black plastic stock that looked like a Viper, but was in 22 Magnum. That thing went
Okay.
for like $350, almost $400.
What was it? Semi-automatic?
Yeah,
Probably a 597.
yeah, something. Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I don't keep up with all the sporting weapons, but I mean those things were going for quite a bit of money. You
Yeah.
know, and forget about any of the military guns. Okay, there was a Mauser that looked like a Guild do over. It's I don't know if it was an 88 or something, but it's engraved, and it's done with the spoon handle and that. Surprisingly, that thing only went for about $400. I was half tempted to put a bid on it myself.
Yeah.
But then there was one of them. I don't know what you call them. They're not in World War One. They didn't have a KAR-98, but they had a short gun with a front sight and a full stock. You know, it was a shorter thing. I forget the model number, but they had one of them that the bore was like, and it went for almost $1,000. You know, I mean, now I
Yeah,
see
the mill perp stuff up here is no different. The last gun show I was at, cobbled together Lee Enfields, like parts guns. You could tell like the handguards were one color, the buttstock was another, and
yeah.
then the guy tried to tell you that it was refurnished or Arsenal refurbished. I said to myself, I said, no, you probably refurbished that before we walked in. But anyway, they were selling from $1,000 to $1,500, and crazily enough, there was people buying them.
Well, see, that's the thing that gets me is well, see, when you look at these auctions, I fooled around with these live auctions from all these companies, and some of them were quite large, all over the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to watch out because when you see how the auction's running, it's like a lot of people pre-bid. Okay, they'll just put their max amount in there, you know, and on from the site, proxy bid or something else, and then they'll just wait and see. And I was watching where you can see people that put like a pre-bid in there, it will go up, then all of a sudden it's on the floor. And there were some rare older guns in there, and you'd see a person put a bid in and you see it's bumped up, and then it hits a level, and they bump over them, and then the guy comes back and just starts bidding. Or it was like one of these guns was the bid he put and was registered there to start it was like $300, but the damn thing went up to 900. It was for a very rare older
Yeah.
gun. And I don't know if these people just bid it up because I've caught them to where I was bidding on a beat up trapdoor and it had some parts missing, but I had some spare parts. I probably could have got it fixed up shooting. But I wasn't going to put no more than like $400 in it or something. And I bid it up, and you see somebody outbid me. So I said, that's it. I'm washing my hands of the deal. And I'm watching, they had another auction, another 6 months later. And what it was is somebody carved something in the stock of this rifle, initials. 6 months later, the same gun come up. And I put like another bid. I put a sealed bid in for so much. And of course, lost it again. Yeah. So yeah, you got to watch them. It's like they have people down there that if it's going too low, they'll bid it up and then just relist
Yeah.
it.
The shows up here in the years past, it's gotten to the point where if you don't go in there with $1,000 in your pocket, you're not coming up with anything of any amount. You might come up with a trinket or two, but if you want to plan to go there to buy a gun or to buy something decent, that's what you need in your pocket. There are no more $100 Enfields. There are no more, deals on surplus ammo because at the show there was hardly anything. Out of that whole show, there was a guy there looking for 303 ammo. It should be common as ABC, and it's not. And the one box that he found was $120, and he bought it just for a box of hunting rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of depressing when you think of it like that. Because I mean, I remember going up to the local Canadian Tire, and you could get a few years ago you get a box of 303 shells for $40, $39, and
Yeah.
now it's the
35.
cheapest that they had there listed was Stellar Ballot. That was the only one they had listed since since COVID, and they were 109.99, and then you had 15% tax on top of that.
See, I did that down here. Excuse me. Let me go on Ammo Seek and see what they got going.
I see there's a
'Cause,
guy there that says it's like $1,000. Yeah, you got that right, $1,000. I went there with $1,000 in my pocket. All right, that's what I had with me, and there was a shotgun there that I wanted that this guy had. It was a 16 gauge side by side. Now, coincidentally enough, I had mentioned before about that site that I buy stuff off, Intersurplus. They had the exact gun. They had the exact gun, and it was like $340, and he had it on there for $1,100. So, I didn't want to get there and start to show him that, well, hey, buddy, I can buy the same. And it was the identical one. And I think what they're doing is they're going to Enter Surplus, they're buying these guns, and then they're marking them up like you would not believe, and reselling them at the gun shows. Because I mean, there's no other place in Canada that has the variety of side by sides that he does, or the for the price. You can't beat his prices; they're amazing, and for what you get in quality. But this guy here, $1,100 is what he wanted for that shotgun. So I told him, I said, "Are you taking offers on it?" And he said, "Oh, I could, yeah." He said, "I got a little wiggle room." I said, "How about $350?" He looked at me and I'm like, "Well, I'm not being unfair," because I told him, I said, "Well, I said I can get the identical one, but I said, being I'm here, I said I'll be fair to you." And the guy just looked at it like I had three heads. So a couple of days ago, I was on Gun Post, which is our Canadian like buy sell trade thing, and here's the same guy from down the South Shore, and he had the gun on there. He lowered it down to $900. And I'm thinking, buddy, you're going to have to lower it a lot more than that, because that same gun is still available at Inner Surplus for $349, and it's identical. And you know what? The one at Inner Surplus is in better condition. This guy's had a crack repair, and he was trying to tell me it was what did he tell me? A French military shotgun. And I looked at him. I said, "When did the French army arm their guys with double barrel shotguns?" I said, "Come on, man." I said, "Who do you think you're talking to?"
yeah, these guys know what they got, so he needs
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Well, see, I see they do it too. A lot of it, like on a gun broker,
Yeah.
a lot of them will do this where they'll post something, be it a 303 or M44 in a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And you always see that the people bidding this up either have a real low number or a
Mm-hmm.
non-rated feedback. Okay, you don't see somebody like me. I got a check mark. I'm verified. I have a feedback 3 digits or something. I got
Yeah,
some
yeah.
sort of. And these guns go up. Somebody did this one. They bid an M44 carbine up to
Mm-hmm.
$1,500. Okay, and I don't believe it. See, and what they'll do is they'll do this because a lot of people go, well, you want to know what your gun's worth? Go to like eBay, or you could go to Gun Broker and see what they sold for. So if you had people doing this fake rig thing, raising up the price of these guns, somebody with an M44 or something will look and say, "Hey, look, it sold for $600, $700. That's what I'm looking to get out of it." See, and it's kind of fake. Uh, you, yeah, because I just found it. Now that you mentioned it, I found Sailor and Bloat or whatever. They got it listed brass, and what is this? 180 grain soft point, 1425, but they'll probably charge you $20 shipping. But you're looking, even with the ones that are giving you the full shipping, they're charging you for soft point, it's under $20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 15.95 or something. The only thing where they grab you with that is they'll charge you like $20 shipping or some shit. But I mean that $100 a box, that's insane. Okay. I mean, and they're producing the stuff, and down here that is Canadian pesos, not American bucks. Um, like the market will dictate what it sells for. Yeah, but see, the thing is, it's like I've noticed fooling around with the gold and silver. You got a lot of these influencers on YouTube, and these people have been going on with all of this. That silver's going to go up to $50 an ounce, and the one guy goes into these coin shops, and the guy's whole counter is emptied out. Okay, after the election, people were buying stuff like crazy, and now silver starts plummeting down. And then this other guy that calls coin shops and tries to get all this stuff, get prices, and kind of he tries to help you gauge prices. He says now that they're refusing to buy the old worn out coins and that. It's insane, and it's done. Somebody goes out and says this and that, and it's like somebody will go out and show these guns off and say, "Hey, this is a neat gun, man, this and that," and then you probably find out somebody's trying to sell them surplus rifles, and they want quite a bit of money for them. So it's all kind of a, morning,
Hey, Joe.
the market, you know. But I don't see, I don't see people, but realistically, I haven't been to a gun show, shill bidding, and seen somebody hand over $500 for a Yugoslav rifle, or when them things get up to 700. I don't see somebody forking over, 700 for said uh, rifle. So it's kind of fishy to me. And there are people I have seen people in the past overpay for shit. It was snowing here, and someone was running to Family Dollar. I tagged along. This is oh, all right. Don't really know much about that. It's working out great. The new bunkie is just a mooch instead of an autistic who relapsed on meth. All right. So yeah, we all got through the New Year's thing. Like I said, check in with everybody in one piece.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody just pull through, and hopefully this year is a little better. But as far as like I've been noticing like with the gun markets and stuff up here, the prices certainly have changed. I guess we have to you have to accept it to the point that things will never be the way they were. It's just how things progress, right?
Well, what it is we're dealing with really old stuff, okay?
Yep.
And it's not made anymore. It's just been lying around. And because there is some sort of market, it all ends up here. And
Mm-hmm.
Europe, they had piles and piles of all these old rifles and that we can import because bolt action guns or semi-automatic guns, as long as they're not selective fire, are cool. But the supply is running out, and you
Yep.
got more people interested in it. And see, this is where it gets a little crazy. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like up here at one point, you couldn't give a 303 away. You couldn't give an SKS away. Nobody wanted them.
yeah,
The first SKS that I ever had bought when I had one, I went to a gun show in Bible Hill, and a friend of mine who was a dealer was there, Cyril, and he had all these boxes on the end of his table, and they were just like cardboard, And I said, "What do you got in the boxes, Cyril?" He said, "Russian SKSs." I said, "What the heck is that?" And he said, "Oh, semi-automatic military rifles. They're from the 1940s and 50s." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "They're like brand new." He said, "I don't think they've been shot. They're plugged full of grease." I said, "Oh." I said, "Do you mind if I open a box and look at one?" He said, "By all means, buddy." So I opened the box. And it was all wrapped up in stuff in a bag full of grease. I'm like, ugh. So I said, "You got one that's not greased up?" He said, "I actually got one here." He pulled it out underneath the table and he said, "Here, look at it." He said they're all basically the same within the difference of the years on them, and some of them might have some little dings or scratches. But he said the same rifle. So I cycled it and I said, it feels like it's nice. And he showed me the rounds and I said, "Oh." He said they're about the same power as a 30-30.
Yeah.
I said, "You got lots of ammo for them?" He says, "Yeah." And he even had reloading dies there. So I bought the gun, a 440 round tin of military ammo, 5 boxes of Serbian soft point, a set of reloading dies, and a scope mount for $370. That
Yeah.
was everything. That was everything back then. And the following gun show I went to, he had the guns back on the table. And when he started to see that the market was picking up, they weren't $99 anymore. They were $129. That was still a bargain. But back then, people were complaining that they went up $30. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
Now an SKS up here, a good Russian one that's clean and whatever. Now what gets me is you'll see them advertise them as honor guard, parade
Right.
grade, and all these things. Where they're coming up with this, I don't know. To me, it's a friggin' SKS. It's a Milsurp gun. It ain't worth $700, but that's what the market says it's worth, and that's what they're getting for them.
Well, one guy, he bought a Yugoslav for $600, and he was bragging. He just posted that video, readiness
Mm-hmm.
review. But here, why are lever action so expensive compared to bolt guns? Yes, it is a machining time. Okay, lever action rifle like the 94 and that's made out of a solid block of steel. There's much more machining, and the internal mechanism. So yeah, that's why they're more expensive. That is correct.
There's nostalgia too. A lot of like the old Marlins and the old Winchesters and the cowboy era, days gone by. In the U.S. where that was like a part of the history down there. Wasn't so prominent up here, but down there, lever actions played a big part on the frontier.
Yeah, just panic buying in Canada right now? No, that's not panic buying. Surplus will usually
That's
just go
every
up.
day. That's the
You may,
stuff that's up here now. I recently sold. I had 2 boxes of 303 ammo here. I wasn't, I was never going to use them. They were 48 round boxes of Milsurp from 1950. Canadian made full metal jacket. They were full seal boxes, and I remember getting them dirt cheap. And I just recently sold those for $130 a box. And now I'm finding online that they're selling for even more, upwards of $200 a box for 48 rounds. So, and you don't see them. Like it's getting hard to find. Like you said, people are just either hoarding it or they're maybe realizing that what they have is worth money and they're hanging on to it till the market really gets high and then they'll sell it. But that's just the way it is. It's like primers, reloading stuff, gunpowder. I was looking at one of my older bottles of gunpowder the other day I have here, my Herco. I've had that for quite some time. You can't find it no more. I don't even know if they make it.
they don't make.
Yeah, the price is on the cap, $27. So
Yeah,
that wasn't.
that's what powder was down here about. Let me say 6 years ago.
I
20.
probably had. Yeah, I probably had that can of powder a good 10 years, and the $27. And I just the most recent powder I bought was a pound of H 335 I got from my buddy's shop. I use that in a few calibers, and it was $68 plus 15% tax. And then I bought a 4-pound jug of 700X, and I paid $162 with the tax, and that was he called it the friend price. And the reason he gave to me for the old price was because it was ordered in by mistake. He had ordered he'd ordered a 4 pound jug of a pistol powder for a guy, and they sent this in the order in error, but he couldn't return it. So he just sold it for he calls it the cost or the friend price. So he says, you basically got it for what I got it for, a little more, but he said, I probably made $30 on you. And he says, that's the friend price. So that's the last powder I bought. And I don't do near the reloading that I used to because, well, primers, I mean, I was paying the last primers I bought, I think they were around $5.99 a package for 100. And now at the gun show I was just at, the last one, a guy had them, and these were old stock primers. These were not new manufactured primers. These were the old Federal stuff, like the old brand packaging. The gold, black, and red box. They were probably from the late or mid to late 90s. And he wanted $35 100, not 1,000, 100.
Yeah.
And when I went back around the second time on his table, there was a guy passing him the $350 to buy the whole block. So that's just, I'm telling you, it's becoming a sport, or not a sport, a hobby, where if you saved your stuff over time and you were smart about it and you bought stuff when you saw it, you're going to do all right. If you're a guy getting into it, good luck to you, because you better have to get started reloading now. If you're doing rifle and shotgun, you better have $5,000 in your pocket minimum to get going.
Yeah.
Then that's just for your loaders, your hulls, your brass, your primers, your components, your powder. You better have $5,000 kicking around to get going. And especially if you're doing more than a couple calibers, like me. I mean, I load for 12 and 16 gauge shotguns, and then I was loading for like 308, 30-06, 300 Win Mag, 6.5, 55, 270, 30, 45, 70. You start adding up all those calibers. That's a lot of money in components and in brass and you name it. And it's not you can't really find one powder converts. Like there was a guy that messaged me one day. He said, why don't you just find one gunpowder that works for everything? There's no such thing.
There's no such, it doesn't. You
No.
have to have different powder.
No, like I up here right now on my shelf, I probably got at least 20 different types of powder. And for the most part, it's caliber individual or shotgun individual that I use things for. And same as wads. You find one shotgun wad, they said that works for everything. That don't work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. All right, we got this guy. I'm looking at an early Soviet SKS, appears mint on Ferb 600, all matching except the same. It's in a Yugo stock.
Ew.
I don't know how that would fit because the standard SKSs or the Yugo ones are built a little different. You know, see that's kind of unusual.
I know what he's talking about. He might be thinking that the laminated Russian stock is actually a Yugoslav thing. It's not. Some of those Russian SKSs were made with a laminated stock, but they're not a Yugoslav stock.
Yeah, see, because I don't think they'd fit. The guns are a bit different.
The M59-66 is a little different.
Got the Chinese SKS 4 years ago. See, you got to watch out. I have an actual military-made one with the triangle, and Norinco brought them ones with the pinned barrels and that. Those are really not an SKS, and I remember they were selling them before they cut the Chinese off for like $99 a piece.
Yep.
And it's not the same beast. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, good evening. Good evening. It's middle of the day here. All right, here we go. My buddy, SKS, the old 1950s that they let out first. I'd get them at 100 a time for 50 shipped. Then this is my friend. He did a lot of surplus stuff, and he did. He bought the stuff, $50 each shipped. You know,
well, I found a copy. I was going through my things here. Give me a second. I get it right here. I'm gonna read off some prices of it. It's a 1991 International Arms catalog.
Yes, that's true. The Canadians don't have certain restrictions in that we do about importing stuff from communist countries.
Yeah, this book here, I laughed. Now, this is a lot of it. It's all Milser. So, on the first page, they've got Argentine Mauser 1909 rifles in good to very good condition, original caliber 7.65 Argentine. Good to very good bore, straight pull, minor handling marks, 29-inch barrel. What do you think the price was? 1991.
About $100, somewhere in there, less maybe.
$179 Canadian.
Okay, back in the 80s, I could have got them for $125, $130. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
How much? What was your take-home pay in a week? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I remember I couldn't afford buying a $300 AK-47 or 350 for Norinco in the box. That was about a damn week's take-home for me back then, if that.
Now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So having something for $200 back then wasn't bad, but still, it wasn't something you couldn't buy a dozen of them.
Okay. So, an Austrian Mannlicher M95 carbine, as you guys call them, in excellent to new condition. What would you say that's worth now?
Worth now?
Yeah.
$400 about the going rate.
Well, they were $34.
Yeah, I remember them when they were about 50 or something like that.
And there's a thing right next to it, the Austrian 8x56R 1938 dated ammo and 10 round
5-round clip.
Yeah. And they were $3.95 a box.
That dried up and that stuff went to $1 a round, but that was back around 2009 or even before that. But the thing is, you mix the brass and the bullets, I can load the stuff up, easily. Matter of fact, that's all I shoot is my reloaded stuff.
Yeah.
See, that was in Canada.
This book, like I said, it was just amazing to see. I just found now here's a Mosin Nagant PU sniper, and they had them in Hungarian and Russian configurations, and the Hungarian one was $100 more at $4.99.
Yep, 300 some bucks.
And the Russian one was $3.99.
I remember when they came in, the sniper with the scope and everything. The guy wanted 300, a little over 300 for him. And at the time, I was buying all these other guns for about $100 a piece. So I'd go to the gun show, and from this one dealer, I'd buy like an old Mauser, the old Mausers, be it Chilean or Brazilian. I still got my 1908 Brazilian. It's like in mint condition. I'd go buy 3 of them. Okay, and I remember he had them sniper rifles, and he's telling me I just didn't have the money to go there and get the one gun. And I always thought about going back and getting it, but I don't even know what the hell they're worth now. Can I post a link to SKS and questions? It's Texas Guns. Yeah, if you want, I don't care. Post the link there. Well, see, here's the problem. Like I said, you got to go back. It's like this. When my great uncle died, his second wife bought him this rifle as a anniversary gift. Okay, and it was a Belgian-made commercial Mauser 98. Okay, nice, beautiful gun, and it had a Weaver K5 or something on there. All right. And she said, I bought that as an anniversary present. It's 1955. She goes, I went to the gun store and paid $300 for that. If you go and take the conversion for inflation, you got a little program. You type in the date, 1955, $300, and you type in today's date when I did it, it come out to that gun cost in today's equivalent would be $4,000. Okay, I don't think, you know, if you look at the old movies, people said that they made $75 a week or something if you were an executive or some shit.
Yeah.
Never was
Now here,
working in the industry. Not much.
yeah. Now here's something else. Now years ago, up in Canada, here we had a company called Imperial Dominion CIL,
Yep.
and
Dominion.
you could buy those, right?
Yep.
That's a box of 410 shells. And I was over at Canadian Tire area looking around. They had Challenger brand, which was all they had in, and they were $43 a box plus tax. Now that's Canadian Tire. This was bought at Canadian Tire back when they were in the old store, and the price for a 3-inch Magnum number 4 shot, $5.20. So that just tells you, and that was bought in the early '80s by my grandfather. So I mean, that wasn't yesterday, but
Well, what
still,
they're doing, if they can't outlaw the guns, what they do is the next best thing is to screw with the ammo. And it
yep.
sounds
If you
like
can't
that's
beat the
what's
gun, it's
going on.
useless.
When you're paying $110 for a box of hunting shells that you should be paying about $30 for, okay, that's where they're got a form of gun control on you.
It's like
Pseudo.
cars and gas. If they put gas expensive enough that people can't drive, they think they're saving the environment. Same idea.
Take back the fake government. Yeah, well, I don't know how that's going to work.
That's what they're trying to do up here with our government here. There's so much controversy up here right now that um, it's what it's looking like is we're going to have a massive majority conservative government. So it would be like the Trump thing here, but on a huge scale, where the party in power now would literally have no status. So anything that went through the House wouldn't have to debate it. Just snap their fingers and make it done. So this is the problem now. There's so much BS going on and throat cutting and you name it that they're just trying to cater to the big problem with our gun thing up here was years ago, like 35 years ago, they did the mass shooting at that Poly UVS school and SK or a Mini 14 or SKS, I forget what they used for it. So to keep them guys quiet, they tried to ban and outlaw the SKS and the Mini 14 just to shut them up, just to say, okay, look, we feel sorry for you, oh, such a tragedy, oh, we'll ban that gun for you. That doesn't solve anything. There's still stuff happening every single day, with other things. But now they're trying to just ban, and it's these guys got to go. They're not. They're making more trouble by doing that. They're like, the criminals are still doing their thing. They don't abide by rules. That's what's doing all the garbage. It's not guys like you or me that's causing problems. It's these criminals that go down the street and said, "Hey, I got to buy something. I need to do something," and that's how it happens. And it's just the black market, and we're being pinned for it. And that's how these guys they see it, and it's wrong, completely wrong. So by getting these doofuses, as I call them, out, we'll all be better for it. But the main problem we got up here right now is Trudeau. He's got to go. There's just no doubt. And his own caucus now is turning on him. So we're hoping that soon here in the new year that we're going to have a snap election and we're just going to do us a favor and get rid of him and send him packing. And he can still be a millionaire and enjoy his daddy's fortune that was left to him. And he's not going to care. Either way, he's come out of it with money. He does not care. And that's why he does all this crap. He does not care. He has no worries in the world.
Yeah, but going to this comment here, I remember that. They used to have those sniper rifles, Dragunov, or Nov or
The
whatever.
Dragunovs up here, they're you can't have them.
Oh, okay, but down here, I mean, like he said, they're going for thousands. It used to be
Yep.
450, 500, due to the import bans. Okay, and that was it. Remember Mosin's going $75 a piece and $100, yeah, in Anchorage, SKS's in 1994, 95. But
My
the
first,
early Mosins, before they came in, when I found them, they were all rusted to shit. I found some
yep.
of them in a sporting goods store that were in terrible condition.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess all of those that came in the crates that were redone, that was all coming out of the Ukraine. Some
That was
French
my
millimeter ordnance pistol ammo. That I think can be done. I haven't done it because I've gotten some from Fiocchi, and I have the damn cases, and I have a set of dies.
Is
But I
that a
don't know
Gras pistol?
what.
Is that what they call a French Gras pistol?
Grop. No, there's
Gras.
the early one's an 11 millimeter. The one at 1880 something that they used to World War II is an 8 millimeter. Okay, the revolver. That's an 8 which is a 32 of some sort. But I don't know what you form the brass out of. I think 3220, but I don't know if you got to machine it or fool with it. Okay. And I bought a bunch of stuff when Fiocchi made it. So I got a couple hundred empty cases. So if I do anything, I'd load the cases up.
Mm-hmm.
With it. Dipping toe into communism. But as Rodney here said, it looks like things are changing and hopefully change for the better up there. Live in Cuba permanently.
Oh yeah, you gotta go visit his real dad.
Jeez. Thinking of a Romanian copy. Okay, genuine, that's true. There are only a few of those that were actually genuine sniper rifles in the 90s. There are very few of them that came in a design. Most of them are just a souped up AK-47, which is not the actual sniper rifles. Actually, they're quite rare if you find the original ones.
Here was another interesting find in here. Springfield Barrels 0383, brand new GI issue in the grease wrapper. $44.
Yeah, because they had thousands of them laying around in warehouses for years. Okay. That's the thing. 3220. But see, I don't know because I've never done it. I have the actual brass. You got to sit down, measure the actual or get the dimensions for the actual cartridge, and then go and see how that compares to 3220. I never did it. Okay, you may have to either sand it or file it or turn it off some. I know you got to trim it back. And I don't know if you got to screw with the rim or not. Into a die. All right, then it's simple enough. But still, I found that when people say doing this, there are very, if you're off 10,000s one way or the other with a case, it may not fit in the gun quite right. Okay. That's where people start telling me, well, just take this. Like everyone believes they can make all these cases out of one type of case, and it's not kind of quite true. That another thing that bullet, I know Grafs makes a bullet for that. You can order them there. I don't know if the diameter's off a few thousandths. Now, see, I can't remember all this crap. I'm getting old. 83 new in the wrap. I wonder how many hundreds that would be now. You can't find them because, like Rod says, they're building all these sporterized guns and everything and assembling all these parts to
Yep.
build these guns to sell as original or Arsenal refurbished or something, you know.
French military 16 gauge shotguns are popular too.
I remember that. Military shotgun.
You should have seen the look on my face when like a buddy just told me that I just like I so wanted to call him out on it, but you know what? I'm in a public place and I'm just gonna keep looking. There's got to be something on the tables that I like, and I said, "Be darned if I pay $1,000 for something I can get for $350." So anyway, every time I walk back around the table, he says, "Oh," he said, let's talk." I'm like, "No." I said, "I'm done talking." I said, "Good luck to you, sir." I said, "I'm done."
Yeah, because
So.
nobody wants the damn thing. I mean, it's like when I went to that last gun show, my wife pointed out a Caltech pistol and she got it mixed up. She pointed out the 22 and said, "Well, they only had that for a couple $100." And I said, you know, because I bought the 9 millimeter, okay, instead of the T17 or whatever the hell it is, I bought a 15. And she got them mixed up. And I said, wait. So I went back. And the minute I stopped and looked at anything at this guy's table, he jumps up and runs over. Hey, you know, you want to look at it? I'll, you know, I said, no,
Mhm.
I'm just looking. And that's what it was, is it was the 22. And I remember that thing, I paid almost when I bought it during the plague or whatever. I had to go up there. I just wanted to get it. I
Mhm.
paid about $300 for that gun. Okay. Of course, you go into a big box store where I bought it at Bass Pro, and you go in there, and there's like 4 handguns in all empty, you know, counter space,
Mhm.
and they were selling primers, 1,000 of them for $100 a piece or something. You know, it's so yeah. I remember hearing a video recently that Camp Perry. Yeah, but were they shot out or pulled off? You know, they what people don't realize is the reason they made spare barrels is like when they had corrosive ammo after the guns were used in combat. It doesn't matter how well we clean them, the barrels would wear out pretty quick. Okay, and it wasn't until after World War II that the U.S. at least no longer made corrosive primed ammo. So a
Mhm.
lot of the reworks, I've seen some old, um, you know, guns from 1918 or whatever that were rebarreled in the 20s. Okay, the older version of the Springfield. So they probably, if they were putting them, I doubt they put new barrels in there. They probably had a pile from the armory that were used or worn out. And I forget, after so many rounds, uh, or the 1903 barrels, that was a different animal. If they had come off the original guns, they would wear out because something about the bullet jacketing in them torpedo bullets, the damn
Mhm.
barrel would wear out quick. So I doubt it was new ones.
That's a gun that I never owned. I always liked to have one. I never got a chance to buy one. Was an '03. I used to like them.
No
I had a
A3.
couple.
Okay. No A3 barrels sold in recent history. No, right? You have to remember 40, 50 years ago, there was so much surplus stuff,
Yep.
okay, that they were selling it for years, 20, 30 years after the end of the war, okay? And a lot of people did not use the military barrels or whatever. And this guy come up to me at a gun show, and I was selling some ammo and components, and he goes, "Do you know where I can get 150 grain surplus full metal jacket bullets for like 3 cents?" You know, he's telling me I need to buy these bullets. Can you get them? And I said, all that stuff you can order off the shelf. You go to Hornady. It depends what you want. You can get a box of 100. You can get a box of 2,500. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I know that. But I want to get them for 3 cents a piece, like this one place used to. I remember in Shotgun News 40 years ago, you used to be able to buy the surplus bullets for 3 cents a piece because the guy
Mm-hmm.
probably had a warehouse with 2 tons of them.
Mm-hmm.
I said that you're talking 40 years ago. That company's out of business. The guy that was selling them died of old age. No, those days are gone,
Yeah.
man. You
Yeah.
know,
That's what they
go
call the past.
go to the store and pay the 6 or 10 cents a bullet. Well, I want them for 3 cents. Well, keep wanting.
Yeah.
You know.
Keep watching.
Now here we go. He's got yep. Cooper nickel buildup, moisture combined with corrosion didn't do the barrels. Not to mention the whole dipping your bullets in grease thing. Yes, they did that in the beginning. That's what they were doing. It actually. I looked into one book that had some sort of a grease that they would put on there so it wouldn't foul. That old ammo. That's why they changed it from '03 to '06. Uh, didn't last long. It's same with the 88 Mausers. They just made the bullet and the jacket too close to the bore is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they changed it and made the grooves deeper. Actually, some they just recut the grooves in the rifle barrel. And another thing, I've never found one that was 318. Okay, out of the couple hundred I've looked at and slugged, because most of them that when the Turks got them, they just rebarreled them. Okay, the Turks used them for God knows how long. I think up until World War II. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them were rebarreled. So I've seen a couple that didn't have the S stamped on the receiver, but not being able to hold the gun and look at it, I don't know if it's just a receiver. Because I did buy a gun, I think I paid $110 for it. It
Mm-hmm.
was assembled from all these friggin' parts. The receiver, the barrel, the jacket, all this, it was just made up from an accumulation of parts, you know. And I ended up, I don't know if I shot that damn thing. I shot some cast bullets through it. Then I got some nicer ones that were missing like a bolt head or part here, part there. And I ended up just disassembling it and using the damn parts to get the other guns up and running.
I used to have an 88 years ago. It was a Sporter, double set triggers on it with a very short barrel. It was only like 19-inch barrel, 8 millimeter, but it had
Yep.
the full length stock right to the end of the barrel. And
Yeah.
it wasn't marked S, but I was shooting regular 8 millimeter Mauser like Remington loads or Winchester loads or Federal, because back then I wasn't loading, and I had no problems. Shot
No,
fine.
they're not a bad gun.
No,
Here,
it was.
either one of you have a Ross rifle. I don't.
I used to. I had a bunch of them.
See, I didn't
I
have.
had I had '05s. I had one '03. I had a couple of '05s. I had a few 1910s, and I had one 1905 that was semi-customed with a number one Mark III barrel put into it, but it was only single shot. But they're fun. Um, my favorite one out of all of them is the '05. I like the 1905 Ross.
I've only seen one in a pawn shop once, and I looked at it. I thought the Gun Geek had one. I sent him an invite. I guess him and 314 are busy. I sent them both a thing to join us, but it is a holiday season. People are with their families instead of hanging around talking about guns.
Gun Geek's probably cranking out the tunes.
uh, yeah, 314. The last time we mentioned this when he was on the live chat with us, he has an in-depth thing. Somebody brought up some questions technically about the guns, and he got into the discussion quite well. He's very knowledgeable. See, these things, I forget if they came down into the U.S. or not, or I've read about them. I've really not seen one. It's just years ago, a friend of mine used to go crawling around all the pawn shops. He said the guy said he had a rare gun in there. He said he ain't seen one of these in years. I went in and was a Ross, and he wanted quite a bit of money for it, and I didn't know much about them. I didn't know if I'd have to repair them or find parts for it, so I kind of passed on it. Really wasn't something I was going to jump on. Uh, and that was it. It was the only time I ever held one in my hands. Is in that shop. I've never seen one
They
come up.
were the problem with the 1910 Ross was the way the bolt operated was an interrupted screw type head versus the '05 Ross had two locking lugs. And the '05, you could actually watch and look in the receiver, and you could see the bolt lock positive across. With the 1910, you couldn't. It locked inside the receiver ring. So if the bolt was taken apart, field stripped, and cleaned, they rode on an S-shaped cam. If the cam was put in backwards, even though the bolt would cycle, the bolt head would only engage at about 15 degrees. So the very first one or two of the teeth would grab. And they called it the gun that killed from both ends. And they said when the bolt got in, normally the first shot it would hold. When you go to cycle the second one in, it would be hard to get back in the battery. When you jam it in, the lugs had already cracked. And when you put up the gun to let her go, bang, the bolt came back and went through the shooter's head.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what they done to alleviate that is they took all the guns that, so I should say the ones that were addressed were taken, and a rivet was driven through the bolt body that the cam could not be put in the wrong way. So that will tell you that the bolt is assembled correctly, even though when you cycle back and forth, you can't see the head make its complete turn into the receiver. So once that problem was alleviated, or that was great. The second problem with the Ross was that it was made so fine is that the least little bit of dirt would
right.
bind them. So they failed field trials, and that's how the Lee Enfield and the Lee Metfords came in, because they're much more robust. You could take a handful of dirt and throw it into a Lee Enfield and it still works. And that's just the way it is. And I mean, to me, that was probably the best battle rifle ever devised, is the Lee Enfield. They weren't cute, and they might not have been the most accurate, but I am going to tell you, if you can get on that bolt quick, you can cork off 10 shots pretty darn fast on a cock on closed gun. And I got a big spot in my heart for them. I mean, I've got one here, number 4 Mark 1, and I'll still take it to the woods. It's 1943. It's been through battle. It's been through a war. And the bore into the damn thing is still like brand smoking new, big 2-groove barrel. And it still shoots great. And it's still, you can get stuff to shoot it today. It's, it's a piece of history. But I mean, the Ross, that's what happened. It just basically, it was more of a target rifle than a military grade battle rifle. But some of the Ross rifles did serve as second line weapons in the First War. When the production of Lee Enfields, when they couldn't arm their guys with enough stuff, there was even Martini Henry still being used in World War I, from the Boer Wars and from battles before. And they were scrambling for something to arm their guys with. So they did issue some Ross rifles that went over there, but they had problems with them. Big problems. Well, I'm on my video thing. Oh, okay. I'm on, Dad. I'm on my. Okay. Yeah. So, the Ross, like I said, I had them and I enjoyed them. They're very smooth, very accurate. I'll tell you that they were they outshot the Lee Enfield, and they made a heck of a target gun. There was actually one of the 1905 variations that was an actual target rifle. It was a Mark II, a 1905 Mark II, and I believe it was like a target that went to Bisley. And they basically cleaned house with it. And if memory serves me from what I read, they actually banned that rifle from being used there because it was an unfair advantage to the rest of them. They didn't allow them to participate in the competition anymore.
Ran into a Remington King carbine in an old school shop that was on a shelf of his projects. Started
Mm-hmm.
shaking and shuddering. Yeah, those are. It's another gun. If they get screwed up getting parts in that, or even if you wanted to fabricate something, that's the person. See, when the person said yes,
I've never seen a King rifle.
um, um, you're kind of screwed. You have to fabricate something or something like that. Um, so I had a number one Mark II 4570. I think I remember seeing one of them. A guy had one in a gun shop.
Mm-hmm.
But I
They called them the Gibbs. They were done over by the Gibbs Rifle Company. They were called a Summit Carbine.
or something. Yeah, I never got one. Short throw. The Enfield Sniper. No drill rifle. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Yep, Navy Gibbs Summit Carbine. There you go. They got it. They got it down pat. But let's see what else he said here. Also, some guy making out of Mosins.
I seen that on YouTube.
You'd have to rebarrel it. It probably can handle. It can handle the pressure, but you'd have to put a pretty large barrel on there. What was the other one? The Siamese Mausers. They made 4570s out of them or
Yep.
something. Several guns that.
Now there's something you don't see in a lot is those old 8x52 Siamese Mausers. You don't you don't see them around very much. But I remember there was one at the gun show once in full configuration, and that's what the guy wanted to do with it. The barrel was just like a sewer pipe, and he didn't care for that. He just wanted the action, and it had the dust cover and everything on. I remember seeing it on the guy's table, and it was to look at the gun. It was great, but it's when you put the barrel up to the light and look, it was just like, ugh, what did they do with this thing?
Happy New Year and glad I caught the live. All right.
Well, glad you're here.
Open the mag well. Yeah, because I was in a pawn shop last month, and guy said he had a Mosin the gun, and he pulls out actually M91.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was rebarreled, and it had the full length old 91 stock on there, and I'm looking, and it had the finished barrel dated 1942 or something. It was rebarreled.
Oh, okay.
Still had the old fashioned sight and everything on there. So I said, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, and I said, what do you want for it? He goes, 300. I said, and he goes, I need cash. I said, well, I don't have it on me. Maybe I'll come next week. I said, what's the bore look like? And of course, he's giving me this giant flashlight, and I can't see shit in there. And so I came back, and I said, let me look at the bore before I agree to buy anything. And I went, he got a damn brush. And I mean, when we went in there, it was like sweeping out a chimney, except it was all rust. And it's a shame because that bore, somebody fired corrosive ammo and just left it. And it was bad. So I told him, I said, look, the bore's really, really bad on this. If it was a little screwed up, I said I'd take it, but and he said, that's fine. He goes, it's gone. I said, yeah. He goes, all right. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah, I don't go anywhere just looking like a barrels without my little trusty bore light. I got that for like $9. Best $9 ever. You just go up in the chamber and turn it on.
I wasn't expecting to be looking at guns like that. So fellow south of Reno used to convert Enfields to 7.62 with AK mags. They ever have those?
Um, no. The only uh, the only Lee Enfields I ever seen in 7.62 39 was ones that gunsmiths actually just what they would do is they would remove the Lee Enfield barrel, they would cut the shank, they would run it through the lathe, rerun the tap chase threads over it, rethread it back into the receiver, and then they would recut the chamber. Um, and they would make them into 7.62 by 39 because you could still use that bore. It would still shoot half decent. But I did see one that a guy took and he converted it, made a little hunting carbine, and it was nice. It was kind of cool. It was pretty neat little thing, and ammo, of course, was cheap for it. But those ones he's talking about there with the
Yeah, AK mag.
no, number one, AKs up here don't exist. Magazines don't exist. They just banned all the ARs. We're not allowed to own one. Anything like that, they're making it next to impossible to obtain parts or to obtain anything in regards to. Even though you're taking that mag and putting it into a bolt action rifle, they just don't want high capacity. They don't want anything to do with them two letters, AK. They don't want nothing to do with it. So but no, they would never have come up here. They wouldn't have got into the country.
All right. Still buy that old rifle that had an antique receiver. Oh, that the gun? Maybe, but I got so much stuff going on. I ain't gonna fool around and do anything with them. You know,
Yeah,
and I wasn't gonna pay 300 for a gun that had a shot out bore. If he offered it to
yeah,
me for like 100 and a half, I would have took it just for the friggin' parts. Okay,
yeah.
but now,
Or down the road, if you find a barrel, you can always put it on, right? But like I said, finding that stuff now is drying up,
see,
right?
you got to remember about replacing the barrels if the sights are soldered on there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you can pull getting them off's easy. You just heat the damn things up and knock them off. But resoldering them back on, and you got to reblue it and all that other stuff. That's not a simple task. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think I tried soldering, doing the steel soldering with the special thing you get from the gunsmith
Mm-hmm.
place, especially in the flux. And you got to have oxygen acetylene, and what it is, it's weird. You use oxygen acetylene because it's the hotter flame, and there's
Mm-hmm.
just a knack to it where you got to heat it just right and hit it with the flux in that, and it'll work. It's a skill. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you got to practice. I never
I
have.
I never had no luck with it myself, but
Yeah,
I mean
heard the
soldering two
regular.
wires together is different. But
Oh yeah, with soft solder, okay, for wires or copper pipes, that's a whole different ball game. That's right. No AK mags. Don't worry, the AR will come back. I've heard they're regulating uppers and barrels like guns up there recently for a gun shop. Well, they got to get the gun. Both of our countries have to get our damn government straightened out now. If they go and clear up a lot of this stuff like Trump's saying he's going to do, I think you're going to see a lot of these restrictions go by the roadside. Okay.
mm-hmm.
I don't know. But, when you start the new year off with a damn massacre, and then again, they're trying to hide the ISIS flag. And the reason everyone said that, the reason they're hiding that is because now you bring up the thing of them letting all these people into the damn country and they can't keep track of who the hell is who.
Send them
Okay.
home.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of rumors that there are terrorist networks with this open door policy of processing these people in here. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, that are established and setting up operations, and nobody wants to hear that. Nobody in the
Mm-hmm.
government wants to see where they prove that this is true. Okay, so again, who knows? Okay, 1873 Winchester full tube mag. Oh, he wants to know up there in Canada is a 73 Winchester with a more than 10 rounds or something. Is that
Okay.
considered
I'm
type
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how it affected at first. If they would have let the C-21 bill go the way it was written, that was anything that could have more than so many rounds or whatever. That the magazine would have to be permanently altered to contain no more than 5 rounds. So these guns of historical significant value would be ruined. So what saved us was the indigenous hunters said it was infringing on their hunting rights to have their weapons done this, done that, done this, done that, and they basically backed off because there was such an like a backlash to it, right? Like they just scrapped all the amendments, but literally they wanted you to take Grandpa's lever action Winchester and go to a gunsmith and have it from 10 rounds down to 5 rounds, and it had to be permanently done, not just put a plug in it. It had to be welded in. That's what they wanted. They wanted the magazine welded to 5 rounds, so no more than 5 rounds could go in, and they thought that was going to make the country safer. At one point, you guys know I'm into the shotgun, so here's what they did. They put a provision into the amendment that said a firearm with a bore greater than 20 millimeters. Well, what they done is they took a shotgun, took the choke tube out, and measured the bore, and said that was the greater part of the bore. So they tried to ban all 12 gauge shotguns, all of them. All single shots, all double barrels, all everything, because you could take the choke tube and they called that the original bore, and that got tossed out because they had dummies doing it. So they are just beyond up here, like, uh, you know.
Yeah, Cybertruck won't proof that Trump Hotel.
So
Yeah,
somebody put one of the, yeah.
First Nation.
Okay, saying First Nations. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I have got a lot of Indigenous friends. I really do. And their hunting rights and what are paramount to them. And you know what? If it's on paper, they got them, they got them. And if they can fight to help the cause and do the greater good, and not just because of who they are, it's because of what they believe in, and it's for the greater good, power to them. We need all the help we can get. That's the way I look at it. We're all in this together.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's getting close to about an hour and a half. I think I'm going to wrap up this. My wife's waiting on me.
Yep. Well, I
what-
appreciate the invite.
Yeah, you were asking. I did invite the other fellows, but like I said, today's an odd day. You don't know if people with family are out doing something.
Yeah.
But we did get about 20 people to show up, so I wouldn't have
Yeah,
any.
you're right. You say there about the 20 millimeter bore. And another thing they did is they went by energy level. They tried to target the 50 BMG. See,
Yeah.
50 BMG was already illegal here. So they made a rule that if it creates 10,000 joules of energy or more, muzzle energy, that you couldn't have it. So some of the some of the dangerous game rifles, like the double barrel rifles, now they want to put them on the chopping block and they want to buy them back. So all these expensive double barrel hunting rifles like Wesley Richards and Furlock and all this stuff with these giant calibers, they don't want them to have them. They're only hunting rifles, 2 bullets in them. And this is crazy. Like they keep amending trying to amend their rules to encompass everything. Like we called it a blanket law because they were trying to blanket everything. Another thing they tried to do, to speak quickly, is they wanted to ban all military type weapons like Lee Enfields, Mausers, and everything. So then they put Mauser. They actually had the 1908 Brazilian Mauser listed and variants. So a Howa Model 1500 hunting rifle is a Mauser variant. They wanted to ban that because that's based off a military gun. That's how crazy they were getting. And that starts you start going back and back and back. Literally, all bolt action rifles are derived from military designs in some way, shape, or form. And that they did that. That's how they were going to do it, and get rid of it through a blanket law. And that was all tossed out because the country just they just stopped them dead in their tracks. That's you work for us, guys. No, it's not the other way around. So it's they got to realize that people, we're not the problem, and criminals will always be criminals. If criminals don't go into the gun amnesty and say, "Here, I want to turn in my illegal guns to you. I want to get some money. Oh, I bought them illegally, but I want you to give me some money for them. So here you go." They're not going to do that.
Well, all right then, Rod. Thanks for showing up.
Sure.
Had a good time, but I gotta get going.
Right on.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Okay.
And I'll be up Sunday at 10, so we'll still have it then also.
Yeah. Right on.
All right. Take it easy.
Okay, buddy. Yeah. Take her easy, Owen.